This world is such a, and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense.
I swear, man, we got the ghost of Pac in the studio right now.
It's such a, gimme. Step, crush.
They try to stop me, man.
Look.
Everybody back off.
Put me down, try and put me down. I'ma hit him up like an outlaw. Combination, hit him with a southpaw. Knock him out in the first round, y'all. Voice of my city like town hall. Round more pounds than stray dogs. I can make it flood in a drought, y'all. Never gon' settle. All I do is get better. All I do is get cheddar. Pulling up, blowing pressure. Outlaw shit forever. Deep in the trenches, I'm riding dirty, I'm reckless. I got this bitch sitting next.
Hey, y'all already know what it is. Welcome back to another edition of the Outlaw Show. Y'all know who I am. So let me introduce my guest for the night. Powerful brother, motivational speaker, internationally known. He's taking his message all around the world to inspire, uplift, and motivate. William Hollis is in the building tonight. King Hollis, as he's also known. What's up, bro?
Man, it's such an honor to be in the building with you, King. Yeah. You know, growing up where we grew up, I grew up in a city called Pontiac, Michigan. And Pontiac, Michigan. And my family, they bumped the Outlaws every family event. It was like it's a tradition. Pac is a favorite, definitely in Michigan. And like I said, man, I just want to give you flowers, man, and tell you that it's an honor to be on your show, man. Definitely
my
greatest honor.
I appreciate that, man. Now, Pontiac, Michigan, man, I always, like when I was a kid and I used to hear about the cars, Pontiac, I didn't know it was an actual city called Pontiac, Michigan. Talk about Pontiac. What is it like?
Man, Pontiac is like I say it's like it's right down Woodward, probably like 30, 35, 40 minutes down, go straight down Woodward, get straight to Detroit.
It's that close.
It's that close. And it's basically, the way I describe it is, it's like, Detroit and Flint, all them cities got they thing, but Pontiac is a smaller one. So it's a lot of chaos, but it's like right there. I don't know if you're familiar with like Kingston, Jamaica.
I've been to Kingston.
Yeah.
I've been to Kingston.
I spoke there. George Pong brought me over there last year. I spoke in Tivoli Gardens, Trenchtown, right in the street.
Wow.
So I went over there. That's on YouTube as well. It's all footage. But I went over there and I realized they was fighting with each other. Like they was literally right around the corner. I'm talking about they can walk out the house and they biggest op is right there across the street. And the best way I could describe it is, like I said, my grandmother moved from Monroe, Louisiana to Pontiac, started running numbers, then started cooking crack, taught all 6, 7 of her kids how to sell crack. My mom was selling crack at 14. So my whole family that's where we came from. I came from that. And it was just like in Michigan.
I was the original BMF.
Man, listen, in Michigan, that was like 85%. I believe where I came from, like 75, 85% of the working world. That's what they were doing. A lot of people was doing that. Other people would be blessed to have plant jobs and stuff like that. But most people, it was like a continued tradition of dope dealing, and the police, like any other city, they get your name, they know your family, they know your history. They already, it's like, just like the government like to do. They like to kill bloodlines before it get going. Yeah, stuff like that.
So Pontiac, Michigan, that's how you started. Obviously, drugs, crime, you name it, was something you experienced. But you managed to navigate your way through. You play football.
Absolutely, man, and it has a big thing to do with Los Angeles. My cousin Sam Rogers actually was playing with the San Diego Chargers. He had just had a career-ending injury. He played like 10 years. And he was living in Marina Del Rey, California. I was down in Michigan, and I was getting in a little trouble. And one day, he reached out and was like, I want you to come out here to L.A. I got a job at Alexander Hamilton. So I came down here, and I played at Hamilton, was All-State, played in the All-Star game, Brian Price, Mike Evans, a whole bunch of great guys. And, what I realized is every kid in every neighborhood can be successful. It only take a change of the environment because you know,
100%.
when I came down here, you know, I had this mentality like good was bad and bad was good. You know, not used to people saying good morning and doing all this stuff.
Right.
You know, even sleeping in big beds, it all felt uncomfortable.
Right.
But moving here to LA broadened my horizon on life, and really taught me about integrity, you know, and how to stand on code and not really make excuses. I had a situation, and shout out to my cousin Sam Rogers. I'm talking stuff about my mom not being there and my dad not being there, and he went to the bank, pulled out $15,000-$20,000, and got back in the car and said, "Me neither." And it changed my whole perspective on feeling sorry for myself. So he said, "You either," and then I probably a week into that, I watched a movie called The Gladiator, and it's one of my favorite movies.
Great movie.
Man.
Great
And
movie.
I saw how he fought for people that some of them even wanted him dead, but he knew he was built for it. You feel me? Like he was built for the pain or whatever came. You know what I mean? After you go through a certain amount of pain in life, most street cats know, everybody know, your body become like numb to it. People think you are insensitive and you don't love nothing. But when you come so far out of darkness, even with your children, you don't even know how to love. You know it's the natural thing to do. We do this, but we so like Nip said, it's dangerous. We stay dangerous at all times. In this day and age, it don't matter if you're a doctor, lawyer, a physician. Everybody is a target. You feel what I'm saying? So I just think I thank Allah for putting that love in my heart, man, to really go out and talk to my brothers and sisters. You know, not just black. That's where I started off talking to, and then it got bigger, and I realized all these people. Shout out to Pit Bulls and Addicts out of New York, a brother that he beat addiction listening to one of my speeches.
Dope.
Built an amazing.
And it's definitely gotten bigger for you, and we're going to get into that later in the interview. But real quick, before we go to a break, you play football. We got the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday. This interview is going to air after the Super Bowl is played, so I want to see what your prediction game is like, man.
Man, this is a very tough. You see something about Joe Burrow? I love him.
No tap dancing now,
Look,
man.
I love him, but I go read to my elder. Joe Burrow, I love him. I love his humility.
I like him too. He's
and
he got a lot of moxie, as they say, for a young kid.
But Matthew Stafford played for Detroit many years, so we rock with Matthew Stafford.
That's why I'm asking.
All day long, baby. Rams,
y'all gave to us, and we appreciate that.
Rams, baby.
We needed Matt, man.
The whole state of Michigan rooting for the Rams, man.
Let's go.
We
That's
love Matthew Stafford. He was with us many years. They didn't give him what he needed. Matthew was right. It wasn't you. It was Detroit. But
Super Bowl, baby.
I'm just thankful. LA deserve it, man. After everything it's been through, it deserve this championship.
Y'all see this interview when it ends.
I'ma hit him up like an outlaw. Combination, hit him with a southpaw. Knock him out in the first round, y'all. Voice of my city like town hall. Round more pounds than stray dogs. I can make a flood in a drought, y'all.
Yeah, so we resuming this conversation with William Hollis, motivational speaker, international motivational speaker. Off camera, we was talking a little bit about your trip to Jamaica, man. Tell us about that experience, man, and how you got down there and what it felt like to be, again in another country spreading your gospel.
Yeah, this was right before the pandemic, literally right before the pandemic. I had to fly back in because they were shutting down the country the next day. So I had
I know that was hectic.
Yeah, man, I had got a message from a guy named Big Stone. Shout out to Big Stone out of Kingston, Jamaica. And he said, the Rastafarians, they listen to your messages. And they say they know you chosen, but you don't know you chosen. So they put their money together. Kingston is a very poor city. They put like $8,000 to $9,000 together for me, and I took the half of that and just paid for the plane ticket and went over there. So I went over there. Met King Yellowman was there to greet me. Nature Atlas, like some of the big top. I was so blown away because in America I'm an up and coming king. But over there, I'm established as a young legend. You know, it just felt crazy to experience that. But I went over there, and you know, George Pong, one of the community leaders, had said, you know, I want to take you to the block. He said, nobody ever done this. And I was like, what that mean? He's like, well, I'm gonna take you to Trenchtown. It's not gonna be no stage though. It's gonna be we just gonna call the people to the street. So I went to every block, man. I spoke. I walked through Tivoli Gardens, Trenchtown. The whole city followed me. They followed me as I walked through. And it was like a time, it was like me transforming from motivational speaker to like a activist and a soldier for God, you feel me? And I realized that, you know, it's crazy, you know, I'm young, but the messages that I'm coming with, I know all of them don't come from me. Well, none of them don't come from me. Because like I said, I don't write speeches. All the speeches that I'm over 800 million views, I freestyle.
Right, you do everything.
Yeah, everything from the heart.
Off inspiration.
Yeah. And then the Kingston, Jamaica, it was a life-changing moment. They took me to the gravesite of Natty of the Maroons, Paul Bogle, and one of my favorites, Marcus Garvey. And when I went there, I was getting ready to walk on to his gravesite, and they had me take my shoes off. So I walked down, and it was like a little statue that sat right in front of his casket. And he told me, the Rastafarian said, talk to him. And I talked to him, and I spoke, and it was like it literally ever since I left that place, my messages has been on a whole nother level. Like the messages that I come up with it's not of me. And what I can tell the world, and I never said this in the interview, I'm like married to the pain. You feel me? Like I know some people are born to take pain. And that person's strong enough to take it, but he don't want nobody else to take it because he know how I feel. You feel me? Right. Just like us fighting in the hood trying to save our family. We'll take the pain. You know, we'll hit the street, we'll sell the dope, but we really dying for pain. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And I realized, like, in me in life, we got this situation where we stuck between a rock and a hard place between time and money. I saw a movie, The Mule, by Clint Eastwood, and he said at the end of the movie, his daughter said that it wasn't the money that you can give me, it was your time. And I realized, like, in our neighborhood where we come from, our time is sacrificed with our family. We don't even spend time with our family. We just take care of them and die, and they have our memory. And I try to speak to, you know, my brothers and sisters and all people walks of life to just tell them, really get in the game. You know, life is short. It's only a moment. We had so many great people like your friend Tupac that inspired us at a very young age, and gave us young kings that militant mindset not to back down and hold our head down when we walk in the room. You know what I mean? Showed us that we was a king. And people don't know how special that was then, but I know how special it is now because of his age.
100%. And speaking of the word king, I seen something that you did. I was listening to one of your motivational speeches. I think you was talking to a football team.
Yeah.
And one of the things you said that resonated with me was, don't go out there and say, let's go get it, my nigga, or something to that effect. Let's go get it, king. Let's talk about transferring that energy from the word nigga to king. Because you know Pac said nigga was never ignorant, getting goals accomplished.
Right.
I think that was his attempt to redefine the word.
Right, he wanted to.
And take the negative energy and make it something positive.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I have a line where I said we went from niggas to kings.
Yeah.
And back to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Back to kings now. Because I hear a lot of, even me and this brother, me and my producer, Fader, we refer to each other as king because he's a king as well. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And so, talk about that inspiration, man, and changing that narrative from nigga to king.
Well, you know,
and what it means for us nowadays too.
Well, you know, when I was growing up, a lot of people ain't see nothing in me. So I said at a very young age, if the world won't crown me, I crown myself. And coming from where we come from, kings don't like to give up thrones. They like to leave you in the muck. And as the do boy and the soldier forever. This ain't the generation of passing torches. So I told myself, I'm not gonna look at another man as greater than me, because that man bleed, die just like I die. But I know that if you really connect to God and the King in you, like I said, I don't believe that God is a spook that live in the sky. I do believe that God is a man. And by learning that power, I can hear everybody. They can say they whispers, they can say everything they want. But I started 7 years ago in a shelter with a pillow and an iPhone in the corner. I freestyled a speech called Young King. They put it in a compilation with Tony Robbins and Les Brown and all these guys. And
Giants of the motivational speaking world.
I was a homeless man.
Wow.
They played it in the compilation, and everybody in the comment section said, "Who is William King Hollis? Who is that voice?" And fast forward 7 years later, now it's 800 million views on YouTube.
800 million.
So when they say the kingdom is really activated, I literally built my career with my voice. I ain't had no product. I ain't had no dope. I ain't had no scamming. I ain't had none of that. I used my voice. I made history in Milan. I was the first speaker to speak during Milan Fashion Week.
I saw that.
I done
Fashion Week.
Dog, I was sleeping in my Taurus in Huntsville, Alabama. And they called me. I literally parked my Taurus at the airport and flew to Italy. Literally, Philippines. I'm sitting in Italy. It's Paris Hilton in front of you, dog. But that was the sign that God gave me. Like, look.
So, I mean, keep it a buck with us, man. This is the Outlaw Show here, man. You know, we don't pull no punches, man. We don't do none of that Hollywood talk over here, man. Was you a little starstruck when you got on the stage in Milan, Italy, to do what you do?
Let me tell you something. Not at all, because I was starving. I said, well, this is what
eliminated all of that shit.
I'm gonna tell you something. The people that do great things is the people that can operate in chaos. I'm a master. You can take my house, that football speech that's viral, the #1 football speech in the world. I got evicted from my apartment, paid my last $120 to a videographer, drove down to Atlanta in Camp Creek, slept in the AMC Theater parking lot. 3 days later, I got a call saying, "Will, your speech going viral on Twitter." Then it went viral on YouTube as the #1 football speech in the world.
Amazing.
So what I'm telling you is, I got that whole way faith, King. Right, I don't need God. God told me a long time ago, if you depend on a man more than you depend on me,
100%.
I'm taking it all away.
Facts.
He can't even stop it.
So basically, in a nutshell, your experiences and the pain and everything you went through is what hand delivered you to this moment and all the other pivotal moments along the way to your journey. I just want our audience to really peep game on that, man, because some of us are going through really hard times. This is a crazy world we're living in right now. Getting crazy about a day. We have so much going on, and mental health is paramount these days, man. A lot of us are suffering and hurting, and you know your story is by itself. If nobody ever heard a word you said out your mouth, if they just read your story on a piece of paper, they can be inspired by it. But speaking of mental health, it's another thing that you talk about and you're an advocate for, especially with black males. That's a taboo kind of subject with us. We don't really get into therapy and all of that. We feel like, you know, that shit is weakness or whatever the case may be. Talk about why you're so much of an advocate for mental health for us specifically.
Because when I first started in the speaking industry, I had got invited by a teacher to go speak into a school in Reading, Pennsylvania. And I walked in that school, talked to 5 young men. And when I walked out, it was the first time I talked about my story, for real. So I walked out in a very, very bad state, ready to commit suicide. I had a 4-5 about to go to the Abraham Lincoln Hotel and blow my brains out. 5 minutes before I got to the hotel stoop, I got a call from the principal, and she said, how much do you charge to speak? I said, $250 for some cheap number, man. And she saved my life. She said, I want you to come speak at an assembly in a couple weeks. So I went right into the hotel, went to the computer room, and typed in motivational speaker, and Les Brown popped up. I seen him on the stage in the Georgia Dome, so he talked about pain and kept his humor. But what happened was God saved my life. And I was so low to the point where I was almost like a visible ghost. I had no worth at that time. I felt like that. I always was worthy. I always was worth something, but I didn't feel like that. A lot of us feel like that.
Right.
And I told people right before I was about to give up, God gave me something to change my entire life. And I tell everybody that person that's on the ledge of giving up and dying or taking their life, you're right around the corner from your breakthrough. A lot of people have gone away from what they love and replaced it with what they have to do. You see, me, I will do what I love even if I don't get paid for it, but that is the tunnel to greatness.
Talk about it.
You can't be great if you don't sacrifice. You can't sleep on couches. You can't go without meals. You can't be great. Everybody in the club every weekend partying with money they don't got, struggling. But they just want to feel like they somebody for a moment instead of becoming something. It's something I learned this year that's more powerful than anything I ever learned, is that's the love of self. The first person we love in life is ourselves. We got to love ourselves so much that it gives us an example of how people are supposed to love us. That's the first human being that loves you. Other than mama first, but you got to learn to love yourself. And once you love yourself, the universe will get out of your way. And a lot of us, we think based off money, that's our success. A dollar does not make a man or a woman. It's his integrity, it's his morals, it's his code, it's what he stand on. And in my generation, this is a generation that a lot of people don't stand on their word. A lot of people are carbon copies, never original. And I look at people like Nipsey Hussle, Tupac, Allow Salese, Bob Marley. I look at all these people and I see people who were beacons of light for God, sacrifices for God. Nipsey Hussle was a sacrifice for God. You have never seen black people investing in buying land at a rate because that was the job God wanted him to do, is to uplift his people and teach them about self, doing for self. And I believe he got that across, so he never died in vain.
Not at all.
That's just a sacrifice, you know? And all of us got our sacrifice, but I tell everybody, the true definition of a king is a man that looks adversity in the face and don't run from it, but run towards it as fast as he can. And that's what the people like Nipsey and Pac and them did.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
William Hollis, ladies and gentlemen, he's talking that talk right now. You know, we're going to come back in a minute because you got a special message for L.A.
Absolutely.
And I want you to be able to deliver that message, man. It's the Outlaw Show.
I'ma hit him up like an outlaw. Combination, hit him with a southpaw. Knock him out in the first round, y'all. Voice of my city like town hall. Round more pounds than stray dogs. I can make it flood in a drought, y'all.
Yes, indeed. We back. It's the Outlaw Show. William Hollis. If you don't know, now you know, man. We coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. One of my favorite cities on the planet. But it's treacherous out here, man. You know, the streets are unforgiving out here in LA. It's an old city, man. A lot has gone down and a lot continues to go down. And my guest tonight, he has a message he wants to deliver to LA, man. And so we're gonna give him the platform to give it to you raw and uncut.
Absolutely. Los Angeles, California, and the whole state of California. What you guys had here was definitely a soldier for God and a person that set an example for not just California and Los Angeles, but for the entire world. For every young king growing up in the slums with literally no way to make it out, he gave people a blueprint through his music and through his life to show us the way. the light is on you, Los Angeles, but you're killing each other at a vast rate. I believe that most of us are hurt and we're broken. We feel like life could never get better. We believe that the gang banging, the streets will always be our forever. And that's because you don't know your greatness. You see, the best example I can give you is a young black king walking through a desert. And as he walked through the desert, he's approached by these two unfamiliar kings, brothers, I may say. And they hit him on the back of his head, and they take his jewelry, they take his gold, they take his style, they take his existence. And when he wakes up, he no longer knows who he is. In California, Los Angeles, somebody hit you in your head, man, and you forgot who you are. You're a king, you're a queen, you're royal. The Spanish brothers, the black brothers in our neighborhoods, that's the connection. That's the connection that your great brother was trying to bring together. I'm not saying that it's going to be no one man that bring a message that can change your mind or change your heart or can even replace the family member that was killed by some of the other gangbangers. But you got to understand this. In order for your city to continue to thrive and your people to continue to live, you got to forgive. It may be one of the hardest things you will ever do. But the black man, the black woman, the black man versus the black man, you got to get up and you have to forgive. The Bloods, the Crips, I understand the history. I understand the losses of family members, children, and all of these other people. But at some point, you got to say enough is enough. Now the government's playing the game, and you're playing the game that doesn't even matter. That block, that corner, those green dollars that you're getting, it's worthless. The American dollar is dwindling every day around the world, but you're shooting and killing each other for it. I just want you guys to understand this, and the great Marcus Garvey said this. He said that this skin complexion is a symbol of national greatness. In the moment that the black man and the black women rise up and understand who they are, will never be stopped.
LA, I hope you're listening, man, because it's definitely crazy times right now. A lot of home invasion. A lot of these kids is out here doing robberies and, broad daylight, man. And it's crazy. The sheriff LAPD was like, yo, I can't guarantee your safety if you come to California, if you come to LA specifically. And when I heard that, I was kind of blown away, man. So thank you for that, man. Thank you
definitely.
for, and spitting it like you spit it, man. And one thing that I think is definitely why you're necessary is because you look like our generation. You speaking. A lot of motivational speakers, man. I tell you a story. Back in high school, man. One day, it's all this music playing in the school. So now it don't normally happen like that, right? And they playing like, what's that? Everybody get that, and it's blasting, yo. And so we in class and shit. You know what I mean? And the teacher's like, all right, we're gonna go. We have a special event. We're gonna go to a assembly or something. And we hearing this music and it's just playing, like he just playing all of this, you know what I mean? Not like real hip hop that we was listening to. He wasn't playing NWA or Quick or Public Enemy. It was just a lot of that, kind of techno, kind of hip hop music. So we all go to the auditorium and where they play the basketball games at. And they got these two big speakers and this dude standing there and he in like button-up shirts, slacks, you know what I mean, hard bottoms, you know what I mean. He don't dress or look like none of us. But come to find out, it was Montel Williams. Remember the bald dude who had the show? And this is before he blew up. I'm telling on myself right now how old I am, but this is before he got his own show. So he's standing there waiting for everybody to get in. Long story short, he was on a motivational speaking tour. He was, he was doing his thing, and his talk was impactful. You know what I mean? I don't know how much it resonated with myself and my classmates, but one thing I do remember was checking out what he was wearing, man. I was like, I couldn't relate. He didn't look like me. He wasn't speaking my language me and my friends were speaking.
Absolutely.
This is something that is unique right here, ladies and gentlemen, because you can go ahead and do your research. Most of the motivational speakers don't look like you. They ain't talking like you. They ain't from our culture. And when I say the culture, I mean the hip-hop culture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Talk about, just for a minute, what part of hip-hop plays in what you do and what part of hip-hop, how it impacted your life and what you do.
I think the cliche, but Tupac Shakur, man, the dear mama. It's certain he made music that he knew would stand the test of time, and it inspired me. People like him, DMX, are people who, when DMX used to give his prayers, it inspired I got a platinum spoken word album called Pain and Purpose, over 1 million streams worldwide, downloads, all that good stuff.
Nice.
But I learned that the world is in pain. And it was a Tony Robbins conference that I went to, and I went in there, and it was a gold, silver, and bronze package. The bronze was obviously all the way in the back, but Tony Robbins walked all the way up to the silver, and he turned his back, and it was like God gave me an epiphany. He said, "I said, who focuses on the bottom? Who focuses on the people who have nothing?" He
said, "Y'all ain't paid."
And then
y'all ain't pay for my attention. That's crazy.
Then look, it was something my granddad gave me when I was a young boy. It's like, you in life, God will give you signs all through life, and it'll be the ones you just remember. And I remember my granddad, they was like, "Oh, Will, you focus on the poor, you'll never be able to make a living or take care of your family." And I remember my granddad's voice. He said, "Will, the object is never to make $1 million. It's to make $1 1,000,000 times. It's easier." And when he told me that, I thought about that. The money part was gone. My passion was there to do it. And I can honestly say, King, that I don't never want the world to thank me for my messages. Because when I was in that shelter, I prayed for these audience members and these people to listen to me. And by them listening to me, I got stronger. I started to heal. And all those messages that I was giving to the world, I was just talking to myself. The world just happened to hear it. So that's why when they hear the speeches, it's so real. Because I'm not talking to you, I'm going through it with you right now. You feel me? And I tell everybody, to be an inspirational person in this era, to motivate anybody in this era is extraordinary. Because we living in a generation now where they don't even believe in positivity. They thrive off negative energy, clowns. They thrive off it. They fall in love with it. But anything that awakens the mind or shakes the soul, they run away from it. Or they go drink lean and
stay
on dope all day.
Themselves, man. There's a lot of that going on with the pills. And
absolutely.
People don't want to feel nothing.
Yeah. And that's what's going on. And I call a spade. Half of those artists is drug addicts. I grew up in a household that everybody sold dope, and I know a drug addict when I see one. But this generation, this world, we changing the definition of sucker situations. It's like it's acceptable. You know what I mean? It's acceptable.
It's amazing.
And when you look at the men, I watched this episode on Boardwalk Empire. It was Al Capone and the Jewish man. The Jewish man kept calling Al Capone a boy. He was like, "Come here, boy. Let's get out of here, boy." And Al Capone got mad. He said, "Why in the hell do you keep calling me a boy?" And he said, "As long as you wear the hat of a boy, you'll always be a boy." And that's when I started to conform to what you were talking about with Montel Williams. But I also realized this. For a young child to know what a man is, he must know an example. And if a man is dressing like a boy, he'll never know what a man is. See, back in the day, y'all men had on suits, gaiters. They looked like men, real kings. Now, you got the older man that literally competes with the young man. When it was supposed to be the older man teaching the young man. So now you got a generation of disrespectful young men that will come and knock off a king because he misunderstood. Feel what I'm saying? These young kings, they want to come up to us, OG, and say, hey, teach me something. But they have made it so intimidating. Like even the older cats say, hey, get away from me. You know these artists that's 40 plus but still act like they 19? It's disgusting. So as a man, as you continue to grow, it should never be no amount of money that keeps you a child. No amount of money. The greatest thing that God can give a man is his ability to grow into one. You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
So I just
And hopefully we live long enough to get that chance to grow in a man, man. 'Cause
Yeah,
a lot of us
absolutely.
still die as boys, man.
Absolutely.
William Hollis, man, ladies and gentlemen, William Hollis is here on the Outlaw Show. Man, I appreciate you pulling up and stopping by and delivering your message. If you got anything you want to say on the way out, man, please do it now.
Absolutely, guys. I got an independent, self-published book, man, Black owned. It's called The Best Gifts Come From the Bottom. It's in Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble. Like I said, independently published through my company. If you guys want to learn about this, go check that book out. And this book is something I'm working on with the school districts all over the world. I want to implement it into the school district. I learned, going back to my story, that by telling my story, it helped me heal. And now I feel like by putting that into schools, with racism, all these things going around, division, I believe by telling your story, you'll see relatabilities within the children. And also having a setting where the kids get up and tell their story and also write their story before they even graduate out of high school. They'll be a published author. So what you do is while you're telling your story, the counselors can listen, your parents can listen, they can film them telling their story, and you can break down in their body languages, in their face, what bothers them the most, what's hurting them the most. Because I learned when I was telling my story, I almost cried, and I wasn't expecting to, because you don't realize how much you go through until you tell your story. So that's something I want to do with mental health, with adults and everybody. But that's The Best Gifts Come From the Bottom. Instagram, William King Hollis. YouTube, William King Hollis. TikTok, The Real King Hollis.
800 million views, so a lot of y'all watching this have watched him already. I know for a fact.
Just don't know it yet. That's why we do it. That's why I'm so honored to be on this interview, man.
Man, the pleasure is all mine, man. Your message is powerful. Your voice is powerful, and it's definitely needed. You know how we do, man. Shout out to Alani for making this happen. Shout out to the whole FRENZEE broadcast team. You know what it is. It's the Outlaw Show. We gone.
Outlaw shit forever.